Hello there, my name is Arindam, and in this video I will show you how to defeat the STEINBJORN boss on the Fjordur map. To defeat STEINBJORN, you need to collect 30 rune stones, and 30 rune stones are needed to unlock the world boss terminal that gives you the STEINBJORN boss. Now, the STEINBJORN boss is located in Jotunheim, which happens to be a very cold region where temperatures can drop anywhere between minus 40 degrees to minus 67 degrees centigrade, which means you're going to require a lot of hypothermal insulation. I would suggest taking a complete set of fur armor that is above and equal to journeyman quality. So ramshackle, apprentice and primitive fur armor will not work. As you can see, my fur armor are really good. The next thing you should have is you should carry one of these otters. Now the otter I have is an X otter, and X creatures from Genesis Part 1 happen to give more melee and less health than your regular otters, which means that I can put more points, I can have more of my melees upgraded, and thus with more melee I'm going to have even greater hypothermal insulation. Now the next thing to note is you want to actually go to Jotunheim, and to go to Jotunheim you need to actually locate this cave over here. You can additionally use the teleportations part over here, but I'm not going to be using that. So I'm going to be showing you where this cave is located. It's currently over here in this coordinate, and let me give you a better visual representation of where we are. So we are currently over here. With the gold island and the ocean over here, and there happens to be the teleportation part which teleports you from Asgard into the three different realms. Flyers are not allowed in any of the realms, not even the hover skiff will be allowed. So if you want to take flyer, the only thing that are allowed happens to be the Desmodus. So let's go and see where the terminal for the boss is. Now this boss is incredibly difficult, and when I say incredibly difficult I mean this boss is more difficult than even an alpha dragon. I know it's a mini boss, but it happens to be difficult than actual bosses. Now I'm going to explain that difficulty part a bit later, because now I am going to show you how you can reach the world boss terminal from your Jotunheim teleportation terminal. So this is where we are on the map. This is the Jotunheim teleportation terminal. I'm going to again use these admin commands, which is going to ensure my videos are done a bit more quickly. So we are currently over here. We have this path, and then we are going to head through this path, and we are going to encounter these giant rib cages of some fossils. And just before we actually come to the first rib cage, we are going to turn right, and we are going to see there is a lake, and just at the mouth of the lake we are going to see this cave. This cave happens to contain the terminal for the STEINBJORN, and the coordinates of the cave is here. Here is the map coordinate. Now inside the cave you will not find any other enemies. So you can see there are no other enemies, but it is incredibly cold at minus 41 degrees centigrade. You can do the calculation and convert it into Fahrenheit if you are from the US, but we follow mostly the centigrade Celsius temperature over here in my country. Anyway, now we are at the terminal that will spawn the boss. Now before I actually start the boss fight, let me tell you why I think this is one of the hardest bosses in ARK. This is because this STEINBJORN happens to be a giant stone dire bear, and because it is a stone creature, it is going to take incredible amount of damage reduction, just like a normal rock golem. So much so that the only creatures that will do full damage to this Steinborn happens to be another rock elemental or a Giganotosaurus. If you take an entire army of 20, 20 Shadowmanes, 20 Rexes, 20 Allos, they are not even going to do any kind of damage. And this Steinborn happens to have attacks that are very hard hitting. So, the recommended dino for Steinborn will be the Giganotosaurus. And even with the Giga, I would suggest that you put a lot of points into its melee and have a pretty good saddle. Now, I'm going to be using my personal Giga, but I'm going to be putting a primitive engram grade 25 armor saddle on my Giga, just to make this video much more easily reachable to others. So I'm going to swap out this ascendant saddle, and I'm going to take one of these primitive saddles that I have made. This is by official server level, this is a pretty ordinary Giga. But for most of you, this is a pretty good Giga, and you can see the melee damage is pretty high. This is because this one is max leveled from parents that have mutagen, and the final Giga itself was max leveled with mutagen. So I have done a lot of work with this particular Giga. Right. You will not you will not get a Giga this much until and unless transfers are enabled on official servers. Meanwhile, I'm going to be showing you with only 1 Giga, and the damage it eventually takes from a Steinborn will give you a good indicator of how long a single Giga can last in a fight. Additionally, you do not need to have a Giga this powerful. What you need is an army of around 3 or 4 Gigas, which can be wild Gigas with hardly around 200 to 300% melee and around 18,000 health. Yes, 18,000 health will still work, but you will require more than 1 Giga. Right. So, my Giga is placed over here, and by the way, this part of the cave happens to be the arena. It's a pretty small arena, and you do not want the Steinborn boss to go outside, because if it does, it is going to teleport back into its base and it will regenerate all its health, which is not going to look good on you. Now, let's do one more thing. Let's keep this thing in handy. Then we're going to place the rune stone, and the boss is going to spawn just above me. So I need to hurry up. You're going to note the amount of damage it does on a primitive saddle. Just look at the damage it does. This guy hits for a truckload. A wild Giga is going to do hardly around 7 to 900 damage, so which is 1/3 of my Giga. So you can take around 4 to 5 Gigas, which is going to be equal to or better than my current Giga setup. And that should give you a baseline till official servers actually enable transfers. Unlike my previous video in which I have shown you the Bela boss fight, its stone attacks actually do not damage the rider, so you are safe from that part. As you can see from the top right corner, my Giga has taken a good amount of beating. It has thankfully not enraged. And it's done. Now I need to do the important part, which is taking a dermis. This guy has around 300,000 health, and let's see where is my loot. So my loot is in the Giga. Hope I can get to it. There it is. So we got really nice loot. So the loot quality is really good. By the way, my loot is not uh, boosted in any way. So this is really good loot that you can even get on official servers. Really nice. And especially I got an Ascendant Snow Owl saddle. Obviously I'll not be able to craft it with this much requirement. But here's the part. I lost 15,000 health on my Giga with a primitive 25 saddle. Now, you need to note how much time I actually took to defeat the boss, because the boss was constantly hitting me, which should give you an idea of how much HP you need to have your dino and how much time the dino is going to last. Based on that calculation, I would say if you are on official servers and you do not have access to transfers yet, you could take around 4, maybe 5 gigas, wild gigas. I mean, if you the gigas do not have to be too powerful, but they should be around 18 to 19,000 health, around 300% melee, and that should easily take out this boss. But do not use any other creature other than a giga. The rock elemental is not worth its difficult taming process, and all other creatures will do garbage damage. Taking a Uranus can help boost the damage of your Giga, so you can use a Uranus's Courage Road, which should increase the damage a lot. My one is also imprinted, so when I was riding it, I also got this Giga also got the imprinting bonus. So all in all, that's how you beat the Steinborn bosses. And now I've already shown you how to beat all 3 of the mini world bosses. So from the next video I will cover all of the different artifacts on the Fjordur map, and hopefully I'm going to be covering the individual bosses. So till then, stay tuned. Thank you for watching, and please drop a like if this helped you in any way, and consider subscribing. If at least 10% of the if 10% of the viewers subscribe to my videos, it will really help me out, and I would consider it a really good blessing. So thank you for supporting me, and stay tuned for the next video.